Trending. What's hot in the world of MMA, jiu-jitsu, and the internet in 10 minutes? Let's go. Okay, first thing, not a cool thing at all, a sad thing. Marcelo Garcia has been diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Yeah, shit news.
It's rough.
Put a post up, him, his beautiful family. He's like, guys, stomach cancer, going in for treatment. Wish me luck.
Yeah, and I think this just reminds you that we hold these people up and we think they're immortal, and they're not. They're human. And that's somebody who's absolutely dedicated his entire life to jiu-jitsu, and you can look at also the students and the influence on the game to go, he wasn't just for him, he was for the culture, like, more broadly. So, very tough, man. And even Bernardo did a post saying that the most commented on post on Instagram about jiu-jitsu was that post from Marcelo.
Yeah, right.
Just like thousands and thousands of people just being like...
I don't think anyone has ever said a bad word about Marcelo.
No, other than he says, know what I mean? Too much.
But I do that too, so feel you.
Yeah, but you... Okay, yeah. No, I love Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah, man, I really hope he's... I mean, as we all do, hope it fucking gets through it and can survive and, brutal.
But cancer is just a thing. It's so big. So, if you're listening to this, you know someone who's had cancer.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. And, yeah, dealing with that process is a full-on thing. So we want to send out the best wishes and much love to Marcelo and his family. Man, let's switch gears and talk about something that's kind of, I don't know if it was an upset, but Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill. And Glover got banged, bruh.
I didn't see it. I was away. I wanted to watch that.
I saw highlights. I actually thought Glover would win on toughness, and maybe being a little bit more technical with it.
Jamal knocked him out?
It was this was a stoppage in the third. Like, he had the cuts, the vertical cut in the brow, like mid-brow, and that was so open. His left eye was almost entirely closed.
Wow.
Like, Jamal Hill's got power, dude.
Yeah, right.
He just knocks people out. And the funny thing about it, I guess, him as a fighter is he's like, yeah, it's me. Watch me knock someone out. Cool.
What do you mean? Like, he doesn't say much?
No, there's not a lot of chat there. Yeah. He's not finessing it. He's just, this is me, and I fight. And that's it. And it's really matter of fact.
Glover's definitely had that sort of, obviously on his rise to the light heavyweight championship before he lost it to Prochazka. He was kind of had like a bit of a boogeyman thing going on too, because he's just this old guy that show up and then he'd fucking choke you out.
Yeah.
Or he would just be able to weather your storm and then put it on you.
Yeah, and it could also knock you out potentially. He's like,
it's true.
Pretty good with the hands.
Yeah.
And, man, and that was such a shame to see him lose the title like that, because he had Prochazka like rocked, and he went for the guillotine and kind of fell off and ended up in a terrible, terrible situation. You're like, dude. So, and he retired, right?
And he retired. I'm spewing, I missed that. Apparently the stadium was pretty quiet as well. A lot of people had already left. It was not like, I read a thing on MMA News today or something, but they're like, it wasn't the retirement speech that it should have been for him.
No, he didn't really get the love or adulation that maybe you saw when like Cowboy Cerrone retired, or when other kind of great names, like any of them, retire to like a home crowd where everyone's like, yeah, we love you. Silence in the stadium. So I think that's a bit of a shame, and it's kind of like maybe an end of an era for a guy like that.
I remember seeing Glover watching the early, it was like a fight conditioning series from, is it John Hackle? What's his name? Hacklebeck?
Could be.
He was Glover and Liddell's coach.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell's coach.
Yeah.
And he had this
the gravel pit? Is that what it was called?
Something
or was
like
it just called the pit?
Something. Yeah, maybe it was the pit. And they had this thing going on.
Yeah.
And that Liddell would always do after the fight when he'd win.
Did they have like cut off? Was this like a kind of, I know the photo. It's quite a famous photo. It's Chuck Liddell, like the trainer, and Glover there.
Yeah.
Did they have cut off sleeve kimonos on?
I don't think so.
It was.
No, I don't think so. I think
it looked like a tough old school photo.
Yeah, and it was them like training, and it was like a fight conditioning DVD. I just remember seeing the ad for it, but back then being like, you're like, oh, that's Chuck Liddell. Oh, that's Chuck. Oh, that other guy looks like a savage. And it was Glover, and it was just interesting because the Chuck Liddell era was so long ago now.
Yeah, his career to span this
You're
long.
like, fuck yeah, Glover was, waiting in the wings and doing the thing. And then he finally got to the championship as a mature age fighter, I think 42, 43.
Yeah.
So it was actually a really beautiful story, in my opinion, that he was able to get there. And I think for him that he was like, well, I got there and then I lost it, and that's great. Like he didn't, he's not full and doesn't feel the need to like make another run. He's
No.
like, I'm out.
And this most recent
real.
fight was tough on him. He did, that's the worst he's looked at the end of a fight. And when you look at Jamal Hill, he looked like fine.
Yeah, right.
And very emotional, big win for him, which is incredible.
So he's the light heavyweight champion now.
Yeah. No, he's good. I think he has to fight Prochazka for
No, because Prochazka forfeited the belt.
Oh,
'Cause he
no,
had
so
that-
he does have the belt. Yes,
Yeah.
he's the new champ. That's right. That's exactly right.
It's kind of like how Rob Whittaker initially came into the championship, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Man.
Interesting. Always a bit of like, it doesn't feel quite satisfying for the fans because it's like a default kind of win.
Yep.
So I think what people are going to want to see now that Jamal Hill can like put together a few wins and cement himself as like a worthy title holder.
Well, people are going to feel the same way that now Francis Ngannou has left the UFC.
That's a real shame. That's a real fucking shame.
And you're going to see John Jones come in at heavyweight against Gain.
I'm actually very excited to see him fight Garn.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Gain. It's all a loss.
I'm super excited to see John Jones a heavyweight if he makes it to the cage. Like
If
there's
he
so
doesn't
much,
just go on a bender.
yeah, some shit goes wrong,
Yeah. No, it's tough. Anyway, I think it's...
JT the Oracle, talk to me.
Well, funny you mentioned it.
called it, guys.
We did call it. I did say this only 2 weeks ago, I think. To me, it seemed very obvious. The ADCC has now signed a 2-year exclusive contract with UFC Fight Pass to broadcast all of their ADCC events. So that's the national competitions, that's the selections, the super fights, the you name it, UFC Fight Pass now owns it. What does this mean for Flow Grappling? Nada. So it's kind of interesting. I am very interested, and I'm actually going to try and get an answer for this right now because I did make this call too that the ADCC would sell to the UFC under the right conditions. And look, man,
Called it.
it's really interesting. So, yep, they're doing the media deal. We're going to see way more ADCC, which is really good, I think. But what Mo Jassim is saying a lot on his social media, he's going live every day on Instagram. He's talking super fights between like Charles de Bronx versus like, Craig Jones or like
Fucking
he's
cool.
talking like UFC highest caliber
Cross-pollination.
grapplers. Yeah, he was talking about Makachev versus like Gordon Ryan or something. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? And people are like, yo, what about like, could you get John Jones? He's like, I'm trying.
Yep.
Like, because it's a lot of money, right? But I mean, if they've got the sponsorship,
Because UFC is not that tough on the body, so let's get these guys to do some elite level grappling so we can just really fuck them up.
just light, just go light, just take it easy, boys. And look, the UFC has prevented a lot of people in the past from competing in other events, so they don't get injured to affect their availability to fight in the cage. But it seems to me that there's a bit of an alliance forming here, where no-gi super fight grappling becomes more of a thing of the future.
Perhaps. I would be surprised if Dana was like, yeah, sure, like I'm going to lend these guys out.
No, but imagine.
Maybe when they're on the back end of the thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, hey, I'm not keen to fight in the cage anymore, but I'll do
But
some
if
grappling.
it could garner them the same money, like if the UFC,
but
because
it
you know how they have
won't.
fight nights,
But it won't, yeah.
No. Well, hear me out.
Oracle speaks.
I am the Oracle. No.
Would you like a cookie?
No, you fucking pussy. No, understand this, guys. I think if you could imagine, you've got a guy like Dorino, who is a 2-time no-gi world champion, amazing grappler, limitless, bottomless energy, and you put him against someone like JT Torres and said, because they've fought before in the gi, you guys just grapple now, no-gi style. Previous ADCC champion, UFC guy, but also previous world champion. That would be an awesome match.
Yeah, for a fan of grappling, absolutely.
But I'm saying I think that this is where we start to see the casual UFC fan come into more grappling. That's all I'm saying.
Could be a thing. The Oracle has been right in the past. Will he be right in the future?
Find out, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, fam. That's trending.
Peace.